All right, guys, back at it again with another Arbitrum ecosystem update. As usual, before we jump into it, none of what I say today is financial advice by any means. And of course, everything that I do say is my opinion and my opinion alone. No opinion of, on anyone that I may work for or be associated with. That being said, let's jump into it today. I've got a couple tweets here, more actually kind of like tech / kind of alignment focused. You'll catch my drift as soon as we get into it. But we'll start off today with this tweet by 0x1moon, actually someone at Offchain Labs. And he actually kind of takes a screenshot of Vitalik's tweet or Vitalik's post on Farcaster, which is kind of like this, like a, you can call it like a decentralized social media, similar to like Lens or kind of like a Hive. But Vitalik says here, I'm really happy we have one unambiguously stage 1 rollup and a couple more very close to stage 1 rollups this year. Real decentralization. Let's get to 10 stage 1 rollups and some degree of sequencer decentralization in the next year. So Vitalik's here is just pretty much calling out Arbitrum 1 as the only stage 1 rollup currently. And then he of course makes reference to the OP mainnet as well as Base in terms of the kind of very close to stage 1 rollups this year. I'd argue, by the way, that most of those rollups are not that close to stage 1. I think I've actually heard some of those guys say that they want to skip stage 1 and go straight to stage 2. And for what it's worth, I think it's all like kind of just up in the air currently. I think, their teams can say a lot of things about what they want to do, but then actually shipping, I think, is the hard part. That being said, a lot of people, for some reason, thought that Vitalik was referring to Meus when he was talking about one unambiguously stage 1 rollup. Because it looks like it's highlighted, and the only reason why it's highlighted, for those of you who don't know, is because it's actually technically, I think this means that like it's just like dangerously, like you shouldn't trust it pretty much. Like if you notice like the risks, it's almost all red and yellow. That's why it's highlighted in red, because it's kind of like a warning signal. Not saying that there's anything wrong with Meus, but I'm just saying that. Vitalik was not highlighting Meus here. He was highlighting Arbitrum as the only stage 1 rollup, as you can clearly see there. But yeah, let's see. I think 2024, we're going to see, we're definitely going to see, I think, a lot more talk about sequencer decentralization, and maybe even some other rollups hitting stage 1 as well. Honestly, you never know. To be honest, like I think it's like stage 1, becoming a stage 1 rollup is not easy, in that like it takes a lot of, I think, engineering work, and also like actual just like, your app or your rollup being live for so long that it's like that, like the underlying technology is being trusted at that point, right? And mind you, these are systems like before, when Arbitrum started off, there wasn't that much TVL on it, but now like you literally have Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, like all encompassing, cover almost $15 billion in total value locked. So these aren't like test systems anymore. At least they're not holding test amounts of funds. So yeah, 2024 is going to be interesting nonetheless, and yeah, we'll see if any other rollups kind of hit stage 1 or maybe even stage 2. Wanted to talk a little bit about Steven's post here today about shared sequencing. So Steven, CEO at Offchain Labs, says that for shared sequencing, we need to build a unified Ethereum across all rollup stacks. We're contributing to Espresso System's shared sequencing, and I'm optimistic that this is a neutral front that all rollups will join us in. We are all Ethereum. Collaboration is better than fragmentation. I wanted to comment here and say that I think one thing to note, and the most obvious kind of form of, I guess you could say, not even sequencer decentralization, but kind of like this idea of being able to be kind of cross-compatible with different rollups is Optimism's superchain idea, right? I would actually think that like the real superchain or an actual superchain should be agnostic. It shouldn't be only based on one stack. Now, the obvious thing they'll say is, okay, well, why not just adopt the OP stack? Never gonna happen. It doesn't make any sense. It's incomplete. It does, it's in beta. But then obviously you could also say, why not just adopt the Arbitrum stack? Well, I think the cool part here is that you may not need to adopt a particular stack if you are using Espresso System's shared sequencing method. Now, I know there are some limitations to kind of what is possible with their shared sequencing kind of protocol. But that being said, I think the only way you'll see kind of cross collaboration with rollups to make this kind of super chain environment where people can kind of access liquidity from chain to chain. I think you're only going to see that if there's if there's like an agnostic shared sequencing protocol kind of living on top of that, pretty much. You're never gonna have another team say, yeah, we're just gonna forget what we're doing and do what you guys do. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So I think that's actually probably gonna be the only way we see like a proper, kind of a cross-chain, cross-liquidity kind of system. But a great tweet by Steven, of course. So I wanted to highlight that. And then, of course, lastly, we have Odin from Starkware. This is an interesting tweet. So Odin says, if you are aligned, pivot to unaligned. This is in reference to what David Hoffman at Bankless said the other day, where he pretty much he was asking the question about what it means to be unaligned. What does it mean to be aligned with Ethereum? And I think I could be wrong, but I think he called out Starkware for not being aligned because you'll be able to pay gas in the Stark token as well as ETH. And because the native language is Cairo instead of Solidity. What I will say here is that like I don't think that has anything to do with alignment. I think alignment because like by that measure then like Arbitrum and Optimism are more aligned than Starkware, and I don't think that's the case. I actually don't. I think alignment is more so, at least in my current thoughts, is kind of like giving back to Ethereum. Right. And in my mind, currently, that means in the form of revenue. So like it doesn't matter if Cairo's language is Cairo, or if even the token is Stark, because Ethereum is still getting paid like call data. Like there's like Starkware is still paying call data back to Ethereum. Right. And I think to me that's enough. I think that's fine. That's more than enough for alignment. You could call that rent. You could call that whatever you want. I know a lot of L1s call that like you're paying rent to Ethereum. Like what's the point? I mean, like there's a reason why you get the security. That's why you pay for it, right? It's pretty obvious. But I don't think you need to have the same development landscape. I think actually it's better that you have a different development landscape, especially in 2023, 2024. You might have seen me say this in the last video. We need more L2s that are different, like just like that, completely different development landscapes, and that can compete with these other L1s out there that have, frankly, more innovative development environments, right? Parallelized EVMs, kind of like WASM-based WASM-based VMs, such as Arbitrum Stylus, then of course Cairo. So, this Odin's kind of just, what do you call that? Taking the piss at David is that what they say in England? he's just making a joke, but I think Ethereum alignment is kind of a meme, I think, at this point. But if we're gonna put any kind of metric on it, it's just giving revenue back to Ethereum or just paying Ethereum for its block space. Like if you ask me, that's alignment. So for example, I think Avalanche, the guys over at Avalanche are saying that they're Ethereum aligned because they use the EVM. That's not how that works. No, you're not. Like, if anything, you actually bastardize Ethereum. You're using it for yourself. So that's just my opinion. Like I said. Anyways, shouts to Odin there. And then lastly, of course, we'll end off with the classic podcast shill. Guys, make sure you give this the Beneath the Layers a follow. If you already don't know, run this podcast. I'm actually might be recording an episode today. Awkward. Oh my God, I'm wearing the same sweater that I was here. Oops. And yeah, no, listen, if you're interested in crypto stuff, you're interested in like hearing entrepreneurs talk about their experiences building in this space, it's a great podcast. Bar none, you should watch it. It's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, Apple, Spotify, all that stuff, all that good stuff. It's on everywhere. That being said, thank you guys for watching as usual, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Peace out, guys.